The story begins millions of years ago when heaven was at peace. Then, an angel named Lucifer rebels against God. He disapproves of God's power and begins to consider himself more powerful. A terrible war breaks out in heaven. At God's command, Archangel Michael fights Lucifer. After a long and dangerous battle, Michael defeats Lucifer. Enraged, God casts Lucifer out of heaven and into hell. Michael chains his own brother. Burning in the fires of hell, Lucifer vows that one day he will escape this captivity, return to heaven, take God's place, and destroy the entire world. Time changes, and the story reaches the year 2022 in a beautiful Italian city. Here lives a girl named Laura, an art student. She is writing a story about the great Italian artists. In her story, she writes that Italian artists never believed in angels and devils. When she shows this story to her professor, he becomes angry and says that it is a terrible story because it insults their history. Laura doesn't understand what is wrong with her thinking. Laura then meets her old friend Marconi, a priest at a church. Marconi tells her that a very special exhibition is being held today in the church, featuring the Shroud of Jesus, the shroud in which Jesus was wrapped. He gives Laura a special pass to the exhibition. When Laura enters the church and sees the shroud, she is overcome with goosebumps because it still bears Jesus' blood. Marconi also shows her a new statue that has been added to the church, depicting the Archangel Michael standing on top of the shroud, having defeated Lucifer. A glimpse of hatred and anger is clearly visible in Lucifer's eyes. Laura, upon seeing the statue, feels a strange fear, as if an unseen storm is about to hit, and this is where the story takes a dangerous and mysterious turn. After seeing the statue, Marconi and Laura briefly discuss demonic forces. Marconi leaves. As soon as he leaves, Laura begins sketching the statue for her story. Suddenly, she feels someone softly call her name. Startled, she looks around but sees no one. A few hours later, as the exhibition is about to close, a mysterious, unknown woman enters. Her gaze is drawn directly to the statue. She stands near the door and stares at Laura. At that very moment, the camera pans to the statue, and we clearly see Lucifer's head move slightly. At that very moment, Laura hears a voice again. She fearfully walks in the direction where she sees a black crow sitting on a window. Laura's attention is drawn to the well. From behind, an unknown woman steals the sword of the Archangel Michael from the statue and starts to leave. Just then, the guard asks Laura what she's still doing inside. Laura shows him her permission pass, but the guard says the exhibition is closing and she must leave. Laura begins to pack her things. Then, her eyes fall on the statue and she sees that the sword is missing. She panics and quickly tries to leave, but the main door is locked. Trembling with fear, she searches for another exit and enters the corridor. There, a horrific scene unfolds before her eyes. The unknown woman decapitates the guard with her sword. Laura's scream chokes in her throat. She immediately runs and hides in a nearby room. Outside, the woman scans the security system behind the guard's eyes, removing the security guard's shroud from the Shroud of Jesus's, and then uses her sword to break the glass containing the Shroud of Christ. The sound of the shattering glass reaches Marconi, and he rushes over. As he tries to stop her, she brutally attacks him with her sword, and Marconi falls, mortally wounded. Just then, some of the woman's men arrive and begin to take Jesus' shroud with them. The woman also spots Laura, who is hiding, and orders her men to take her along. Marconi, lying wounded, realizes that these people are going to use Jesus' shroud for some very dangerous purpose. Mustering his last bit of strength, he closes his eyes and prays to Archangel Michael to enter his body to stop this force of darkness. In reality, Michael is the divine warrior who once fought the greatest battle between good and evil. As soon as Archangel Michael hears Marconi's prayer, he instantly enters his wounded body. Michael immediately begins to chase the unknown woman's car. However, Marconi's body is severely injured, forcing Michael to stop. When the woman turns and sees Father Marconi, she immediately realizes that it is not an ordinary human being in her body, but Michael himself. Meanwhile, the time shifts, and we arrive at a luxurious hall filled with wealthy people. A small child is playing the violin. As his performance ends, everyone applauds. Then a man named Dr. Laurent steps forward and tells everyone that the child is a clone of a famous musician. He further reveals that his company creates human clones from the DNA of dead people, and these children are sold to very wealthy individuals. Laurent then begins his clone auction. Just then, a mysterious woman appears in the crowd, and we learn her name is Lise. Lise tells Laurent that she has found the shroud of Jesus. Upon hearing this, Laurent's face breaks into a lustful smile, and he immediately leaves with Lise. They arrive at a mysterious place called Lucifer Villa. It becomes clear that all these people are connected to the Lucifer cult. Laurent is anxious to see Jesus' shroud because he needs to extract DNA from Jesus' blood to create a clone of Jesus. Meanwhile, when Laura wakes up, she finds herself locked in a dark cell. 3 other girls have also been kidnapped there. One of them breaks down in fear. Laura calms her down, saying that if they want to get out alive, they must all support each other. But before she can formulate a concrete plan, the cell door opens and a team of doctors enters. They take blood samples from all 4 girls. Laurent is actually preparing to use these girls to create a clone of Jesus. Meanwhile, Michael returns to the church. The priests present are surprised to see Marconi alive, as they all remember him in his injured state. However, Michael, in Marconi's body, does not reveal his identity to anyone. He simply asks who was responsible for the security of Jesus' shroud. The father tells him that this responsibility was with a cardinal. But some time ago, he suddenly became mentally unstable. He started talking about demons and devils. So he was sent to an asylum. And this is where the story takes another dangerous turn. Michael shows the father Laura's special pass and asks about her. But no one in the church knows who Laura is. This makes Michael even more uneasy. Then he remembers that the cardinal is now in an asylum, so he sets out to meet her. On the way, a black crow is seen following his car, as if some unseen force is watching his every move. Meanwhile, at Lucifer's villa, doctors are trying to extract DNA from Jesus' shroud. The sound of machines, the red lights, and the madness on the doctors' faces clearly indicate that they are preparing for some grave sin. Meanwhile, Michael arrives at the asylum and meets the cardinal. The cardinal holds a gun and appears completely broken and frightened. As soon as the cardinal touches Michael, he immediately realizes that this is not Father Marconi. Michael tells him the whole truth. After hearing everything, the cardinal trusts Michael and takes him inside the asylum. There, the cardinal explains that he lives there only to keep an eye on Lucifer's villa. He then shows Michael a place where the path to hell opens, the same place where God and Archangel Michael once chained Lucifer with their swords. The cardinal also tells Michael about Les Elis and says that the members of the Lucifer cult constantly repeat that one day Lucifer will return. For years, these people have been sacrificing children so that Lucifer can enter a powerful music body and return to this world. But so far, no body has been strong enough to handle Lucifer. Then the cardinal reveals another horrifying truth. The cult members have stolen the shroud of Jesus so that they can use it to create a clone of Jesus. Because a clone of Jesus would be so powerful that Lucifer would be able to easily enter its body and return to this world. Hearing this, Michael's face hardens, and he promises the cardinal that he will not allow this to happen at any cost. Then, the cardinal takes Michael to the area where Lucifer's villa is located. As Michael approaches the spot, his sword suddenly vibrates violently. And at that very moment, Lucifer, chained in the depths of hell, pulls at his chains and frees himself. Meanwhile, the girls imprisoned in the villa are contemplating a way to break free from their chains and begin discussing their lives. During this conversation, we learn that Laura's husband and her child were brutally murdered. Hearing this, the other girls are devastated, but they maintain their courage. Meanwhile, Laurent is shocked to see Laura's blood test report. The report clearly states that her music DNA is a 100% match for the clone of Jesus. Seeing this, Liz orders Laurent to proceed with the process immediately. A short while later, anew, the nurses arrive to take Laura for surgery. Just then, all the girls try to save their lives by using chains as weapons. As the situation spirals out of control, more nurses arrive and overpower the girls. Laura, along with a girl named Brenda, is forcibly taken into surgery. In the operating theater, the doctors inject her abdomen with an implant made from Jesus' DNA. Meanwhile, Lys reveals herself to be an angel and tells Laura that she already knew Laura was one of them because she had seen sketches of Lucifer in her diary. Meanwhile, the Cardinal drops Michael off near a cave, which provides access to the eerie villa. Then, the Cardinal spots the crow that has been following them for so long. Without delay, the Cardinal shoots the crow and hands Michael his gun. Michael, without wasting any time, immediately goes inside the cave. Here, Laura and Brenda are dressed like brides and tied to a pillar. Just then, a terrifying beast emerges from the gates of hell and takes them both into a cage, carrying them into hell. Upon entering hell, a horde of demons surrounds the cage. At that very moment, Lucifer arrives and first enters Brenda's body. Brenda resists with all her might, but she is unable to bear it and dies on the spot. Lucifer then enters Laura's body, but Laura's body proves to be extremely strong. She does not allow Lucifer to completely dominate her. Seeing this music, Lucifer decides that the clone of Jesus will now be born from Laura. Laura is then brought back out of hell, where Liz and the rest of the cult welcome her. Liz then takes Laura to a separate cell and tells her that she will be free after the baby is delivered. Meanwhile, Michael has entered the villa. Just then, the guards spot him and shoot him in the shoulder. Despite being wounded, Michael confronts the guards and kills them. Wearing a guard's uniform, he reaches the lab, where he picks up the shroud of Jesus and keeps it with him. Meanwhile, Laurent arrives. Michael catches him and asks him why he is doing all this. Laurent replies that he is doing everything for a fresh start. Enraged, Michael releases the gas stored throughout the lab and sets it on fire. Suddenly, alarms go off throughout the building, causing chaos. Laura begs a man to let her out, but the man refuses to let her out of the cell. Suddenly, Michael arrives and kills the man. As soon as Laura sees Marconi alive, she becomes emotional and embraces him. Understanding Laura's feelings, Michael hides from her the truth that the real Marconi is dead. Suddenly, Michael hears Lucifer's resounding voice. Lucifer tells him that he is now free. Michael is stunned. He cannot understand how Lucifer, who had been chained for centuries, is free. Filled with rage, Michael begins to tremble, and his eyes burn with fire. Seeing Michael's condition, Laura suspects that he too is a man of the Lich. Terrified, she runs away. Michael immediately runs after her, shielding her from the guards on the way and taking her to a room. There, he assures Laura that he is not Liz's, but has come only to rescue her. After a brief moment of confusion, Laura agrees. Then, they both run towards the cave where the exit was. But Liz leaves her men behind them. The baby in Laura's womb is growing rapidly, and her condition begins to deteriorate. Her steps become unsteady, and the pain becomes unbearable. Just then, the same beast from hell arrives and attacks Michael. Michael fights it with all his might, but he was already badly injured by the music. Due to weakness, he loses to the beast. Just then, Liz arrives with her men and recaptures Laura and locks her in a cell. Meanwhile, Michael is chained, but with his divine power, he breaks the chains in an instant. He escapes the beast and goes deeper into hell. As soon as he enters, a terrifying demon attacks him. Michael pushes it away with great difficulty and escapes, reaching the place where he once imprisoned Lucifer himself. But Michael was in for a major shock when he arrived. His divine sword was missing. Before he knew it, demons surrounded him from all sides, captured him, and imprisoned him again. Meanwhile, Laura was looking at her baby on the ultrasound screen. Suddenly, the baby appeared from the screen, growling and looking directly at Laura. Terrified, Laura screamed and woke up. It was all a nightmare. As Laura opened her eyes, she saw Les sitting next to her. Les calmly asked her does Lucifer speak to her? Laura doesn't answer this question. Liz then begins to tell her the story of Lucifer, praising his greatness, and promises to free the child as soon as it is born. Meanwhile, in hell, a group of dead children sees Michael chained. These are the same children who were handed over to Lucifer by the cult years ago. Michael promises them all that if they find his sword and give it to him, he will free them all from hell. But then the demons arrive. Some children flee in fear, while others are captured by the demons. Meanwhile, Lucifer enters Laura's mind and speaks to her. He offers her a dangerous deal. He says that if Laura allows this child to be born, he will give her the power to destroy her family's murderer. He also says that if she wants, she can kill Liz too. Burning with pain and revenge, Laura accepts Lucifer's offer and begins caring for the child. A short while later, when a nurse arrives for tests, Laura brutally kills her with her newfound powers and flees. But then another nurse appears. Driven by rage, Laura beats her to death. Within moments, two bodies lie on the ground. When Laura regains consciousness, she realizes what she has done. She is devastated and shakes with fear. That's when she decides that she will no longer accept any of Lucifer's offers and will end everything by killing this child. Lucifer tries his best to emotionally break her down. He restrains her, coaxes her, and frightens her. But this time, Laura ignores his voice and goes into a room and drinks chlorine. However, Lucifer, using his control, forces her to vomit and saves the baby. Just then, Liz arrives and screams at Laura. But Lucifer, in Laura's body, uses his power to lock the door to the room, grabs Liz, and forcibly vomits on her. This was punishment for Liz's sins, because her negligence had caused Laura to kill the baby. Lucifer bluntly tells Liz that the entire cult will die, music, after the baby is born. He also says that Laura and her child are now connected. Therefore, after the baby is born, Laura will also be killed. Laura is then locked in a healing pod so that music she cannot try to kill the baby again. Meanwhile, Lucifer, in the body of a demon in hell, approaches Michael and begins to mock him. The children overhear their conversation and realize that Michael has come to save them. As Lucifer leaves, all the children decide to help Michael. With great difficulty, they find his divine sword and give it to Michael. Once in his hands, Michael transforms into his true angelic form. He kills all the demons present one by one. Afterward, he returns to Father Marconi and returns to Earth. Michael reaches Laura to stop the birth. He takes her out of the bed and takes her to another room and tries to convince her that she is carrying no ordinary child. Then, Michael hears Lucifer's resonant voice, which declares that he has possessed Laura. Lucifer suddenly enters Laura's body, attacks Michael, and pushes him away. He tries to overpower Michael and force him to worship him. Michael is determined not to bow to Lucifer and tells him that all this is happening by the will of God. He warns Lucifer that if he enters the sacred body of Jesus, Jesus will control him. Lucifer becomes enraged, brutally beating Michael and knocking him unconscious. Just then, Liz arrives with her followers. Lucifer orders her to kill Laura's child. But Liz, believing it was Laura's will, allows the child to be born instead. Once the child is born, Liz takes him to herself and opens the gates of hell, throwing Laura into it. Liz shows the child to her followers. Everyone falls to their knees. Liz declares that the child will be bathed in blood. She then orders the beast to kill everyone. The beast raises his sword and attacks around. Meanwhile, Laurent kisses the child's head before dying, but the beast kills him too. Meanwhile, Michael regains consciousness. He breaks the window and leaves the room, and music sees Laura hanging at the gates of hell. Michael immediately rescues her. Liz begins to take the child in her car. Laura arrives and pushes Liz away, taking her child back. Michael explains to Laura that the child is not the devil's, but God's. Laura was not chosen by Lucifer, but God was the one who chose her. Laura gets into the car and goes straight to find Cardinal, while Michael stays there to close the gates of hell. As he closes the door, the beast suddenly appears and opens the door again. But Michael spots some bombs there and activates them. Within moments, a massive explosion occurs. This blast destroys the beast and closes the gates of hell forever. After some time, the Cardinal, Laura, and her child arrive safely at the church and place the shroud of Jesus back in its proper place. Meanwhile, Michael goes to hell and frees all the children imprisoned by Lucifer's followers. A few years pass. Laura and her child live with the Cardinal in the asylum. But one day, Liz suddenly comes there to see the child and call Lucifer. As soon as the child looks at Liz, Lucifer starts coming out of his nose. But the child immediately pulls Lucifer back into his body with his power. This moment shows that God has permanently subdued Lucifer. And with this, the film ends.